Greetings and salutations, my friends. When you think back to your childhood, you probably had some films that you loved and you rewatched over and over again through your childhood. I'm talking everything under like 10 or 12 years old. For me, these films were, well, Jim Carrey films, absolutely loved them. Jackie Chan films, and alien films. Not just any alien films. We're not talking E.T. here. We're talking this very specific alien franchise started by Ridley Scott. It's probably my favorite film franchise of all time. I have been watching these films through my entire life. I like some of them better than the others, but I think that's the case for everyone, really. We can agree that not all alien films are the same. And because I'm such a huge fan, and I have talked about Alien Covenant on this channel previously, I have decided that instead of reviewing each of these films separately, because that would take me half a year probably, I'm going to do a tier list videos of all Alien and Predator films. Before we start, let me know in the comments which of these two sci-fi monsters do you like better, Alien or Predator? I'm curious and I'm looking forward to reading those comments. Alright, so we have the tier list ready and I have me snack, coffee beans, because why the hell not? I love them, I think they're tasty. And what other reason do I need? Lovely, they're already in a chronological release order, so we're just going to rank them in chronological order, starting with the classic Alien, the very first one. Where should this go? And there's only one place this one can go, and that's the F tier. Absolute rubbish. Absolute rubbish. Whoever made this deserves to be publicly humiliated or maybe even executed. No, I'm kidding, of course. This is an absolute S tier. The best of the best.
Perfect organism.
The thing about this film is that it's not just great, it's also the only film in this entire franchise that is like a full-on horror film. Because the other films in this series, they're thriller, sci-fi, action, even comedy. A lot of the time they're a mix of different those things. Some of them have clear horror elements. This one, however, it's a pure-on horror classic. I mean, I don't think I have anything bad to say about this film. I know some people who don't like how slow the start is, but honestly, I think a lot of good horror should have a slow start. Horror, as a genre, is a slow burner, you know? If you want something else, if you want action all the time, watch a fucking Marvel film. Don't watch an Alien film. You know, it was made in the 70s, towards the end of 70s, and the 70s had so many great horrors. The Exorcist, Halloween, and so on. Alien, I think it was a cherry on top of that cake. If 70s horror films are a cake, this is the cherry on top of that cake. Absolutely love how claustrophobic this film is. Most of the film takes place in very, very small spaces. And I think that's the big part of this film's charm. Now, aliens. You know, before we rank this one, let me tell you something. I'm not a big fan of action films. And there's been a big shift from Alien to Aliens, right? I mean, even the title, we have more aliens now. That means less horror, more action. I'm more of a horror guy. I don't usually watch action films, not my kind of thing. So, aliens, however, you know, there are always exceptions. There are always exceptions, and this one, you know, personally, I would put it in an A tier. Because based on my personal taste, Alien is more of the type of film that I prefer than Aliens is. However, when I take into consideration that it's not really my type of genre, and I fucking love this film, it has to be higher. There's something special about it, you know, it's like when you listen to a song by an artist or a band you don't like, and you think, holy shit, you know what, this is actually a pretty good song. Or a song in a genre you normally don't listen to, but you love that particular one a lot. And I must have done something impressive. For this reason, I am actually going to put it in S tier, even though, based on my personal taste, it will be an A tier.
Well, that's great. That's just fucking great, man.
It's still not higher than Alien. Alien comes first. But I think part of the reason why I really like this one is, well, first of all, I like xenomorphs, obviously. The second one is actually the running theme of motherhood in this film, which I think makes it something much more than just an action film, sci-fi alien shooter, anything like that. You know, it's from Ripley losing her daughter, even though, well, technically, she didn't lose her as a child. She was just hibernated for a very long time. But it does feel like losing it when you wake up. So much time has passed. Your daughter is now dead, died at an old age. Not that old, but still. And, you know, then she finds this little girl that she needs to protect. And mother instinct. Mother instinct. I think it should be a subtitle of this film. And then you have, on the alien side of the narrative, right? The alien queen, which is also sort of an embodiment of the mother instinct. I think that's what makes this movie so fucking great. And now, Predator. Alright, this one's gonna be controversial. Because when it comes to Predator films, a lot of people would say the first one was the best one. And I have to disagree. It's not bad. It's not horrible. But for now, I'll put it in B tier. And it's a full-on action movie. Testosterone-filled action film. And I already told you, not my kind of thing. Therefore, I'm not going to put it any higher than a B tier. It's not bad for an action film, but it still has that weird, cheesy 80s vibe that wasn't necessarily my thing. And a lot of action films from that era had Arnold Schwarzenegger. And yeah, I'm not big on Arnold Schwarzenegger, honestly. There's something about him that just doesn't do it for me. Nothing against him as a person, but I didn't like his films. I think the thing about this film that I love the most is the concept of the Predator. But the film itself, its general vibe, not necessarily. And then, just a few years later, we got the sequel, Predator 2, and a lot of people will say, oh, you know, this one is the worst. I'm not putting in a D category, it's just here for now. A lot of people will say this one was much worse than the first one. And I'm going to be controversial again, because that's what I do. I love being controversial. I think it's better than the first one. I think, you know, when it first started, when I watched it the first time, I was confused. I didn't think it was a Predator film. It felt like a LA crime film, police body type of film. It definitely has that sort of Lethal Weapon type of vibe to it, and I really liked Lethal Weapon. So I think this one is overall better. I like what they did with Predator better than this one. We get more of Predator. We get to see a Predator ship. We get to see a xenomorph skull and a skull collection on that ship. But we have some great interaction between the main character and the predators after that give him that gun. It's a great film, honestly. One of the best of the Predator films, for sure. And now, Alien 3. Okay, I said this is going to be controversial, and for a third time in a row, I'm going to continue being controversial. I've heard it so many times, you know, from people I know in real life, on the internet, by watching other creators talking about this. Well, Alien 3 is the worst one in the original quadrilogy of the Alien films. And I will have to disagree with that wholeheartedly, just disagree full on. I think it's an absolute S tier. Definitely better than Aliens.
Say what?
I'm not so sure about Alien. It's a bit of a dilemma. I love them both equally. Sometimes this one is my number one, sometimes the other is my number one, but it's always these two. I think the reason why this film is hated is because it's just absolutely cancels the happy ending of Aliens. And I think it rubbed people the wrong way. But here's the thing, considering what kind of franchise it is, I don't think these films are meant to have a happy ending. This is a dark world, you know, it's brutal and merciless. And out of all the films in the series, there is no other film that captures it as perfectly. It's like having a terminal illness. You know shit's gonna end badly, there is no happy ending. And in a way, I think it's a perfect metaphor, because Ripley is carrying a alien queen that is going to kill her when she gives birth. And this is a film in which you know you're finished, right? There is no hope for you, but you're still trying to do the right thing with what you got. And this is something that spoke to me already as a kid, when I was 9 years old. I love that concept. And this also speaks to me as an adult. I think it's about, yeah, even when you know it's hopeless for you, you can still do something for the rest of the world, right? I think it's great. And honestly, I like other characters too. I hear so many times that all the characters in this film are just bald prisoners. They have their personalities. Actually, I think I like the personalities a little more than the Marines from Aliens, to be completely honest. I still think that Alien, the original, had the best cast of them all. I love these characters. But Alien's great. Actually, one of my favorite characters in this whole franchise is in Alien 3, Dylan. I absolutely love him. Now, Alien Resurrection. It's a difficult one to rank. I definitely think it's the worst of the original quadrilogy. It's even as a kid, when I watched it the first time after watching Alien 3, I was thinking, it's such an unnecessary film. I think Alien 3 had just such a perfect ending, such an impactful ending, and I hated Alien Resurrection because it ruined that, basically. I thought it was just an unnecessary entry. I think that what we needed was a trilogy, and it should have ended there. So I hated it at first, but you know what? This is a film that was actually growing on me the more I watched it. And my brother, who's actually 11 years younger than me, when he was like around 5, he used to watch this film over and over again, pretty much every single day. And eventually you get sick of it, but it grows on you, and it grew on me even before that. Like when I was still a kid, it grew on me for sure. But objectively, I don't think it's a very good film. It could be a C tier or even a D tier. But I can't deny that this film has a certain charm to it. There's very weird charm. It's a very weird film. It's a very weird entry in this series, probably the weirdest one. But it's also what makes it unique. I'll say, this film is a guilty pleasure for me. This film is a guilty pleasure for me. I won't put it any lower than a B tier. Might even put it in A tier, because I love the goofiness of this film, honestly. Winona Ryder as Cole. I think she's one of the best android characters in the whole series. I think she's probably like the strongest part of this film. I think she's on equal level to Bishop from Aliens for me. I loved her. As much as this film is sort of trashy, I also have to say it has the best soundtrack out of all the Alien films. And Predator, actually, both franchises. The soundtrack in this film is so good. The main theme is amazing. And towards the end of the film, when they land on Earth, you see those clouds outside the window. That is pure perfection, absolute masterpiece. I love the music of this soundtrack, and this alone can't make this film any lower than a B tier. Even though, yeah, it's not a good film, but there's something charming about it. There's nostalgia. there. It's very nostalgic for me, this one. It has a very unique atmosphere. Probably the most atmospheric out of all these films. Or maybe not. Nah, maybe not. Nah, that's the first one, for its claustrophobic atmosphere for sure. But this one, yeah, no, it's good. It's really good and really bad at the same time. It's sort of mid. Anyway, from there we move on to Alien vs. Predator 1. And, well, I think it's a C tier. It's not horrible. There are some films that will be coming up soon that are much worse than this one. But it's also not good. It's mediocre. It's not a very memorable film, because, you know, when a film is really bad, when it's really shitty, you remember it well. And you also remember it when it's really good. But when it's just meh, you sort of forget about it. This is one of the films in the series that I actually remember the least. This entry is also unlike any other one in the series. So in a way, it is unique, kind of like Alien Resurrection, in a sense that it feels more like an adventure film. You know, the setting of ancient pyramid somewhere in the middle of Antarctica, I think it was. I get these Indiana Jones type of vibe. Oh, you know what? Now, The Mummy with Brendan Fraser. That one, I think there's definitely that kind of vibe. There's a similar build-up, you know, pyramids, all of that. And then when they wake up the mummy, and here, like, they wake up the xenomorphs. I think, and it's not, came out not long after Mummy 1 and 2 came out, so I think there might have been some inspiration there from that. It's an experimental thing. It's okay, you know, it's nothing more than that. However, the sequel to this film, Alien vs. Predator Requiem, which takes place immediately after the ending of Alien vs. Predator. This film is obviously here much better than the original Alien. Alright, I'm repeating myself. I put Alien in F tier, or I put this one in S tier. You know where this one goes. It's an absolute rubbish. A common complaint I hear about this film is how dark it is. I can't see what's going on. Never actually been an issue for me. I think it's the least of the issues this film has. I could always like make out what was going on. I don't know, maybe the brightness settings on the TV I was watching it at the time were pretty high. But also, you know, I remember going to the movies when this film first came out, watching it, and it didn't bother me. But there were many things that bothered me with this one. Really forgettable characters. This whole thing felt like a small town teenage drama, in a way. Like a very forgettable TV show that no one really watched. I don't have much positive to say about this film. It's an absolute mess. Everything is happening so fast. It just jumps from one scene to another. I don't like that kind of thing. There's no build-up whatsoever. It's just boring from start to finish. And there are no moments where there's no tension and there's this tension. It's just completely flat all throughout this whole film. There's no character development. There is no main character here. No one really gets enough screen time to get proper character development. And yes, you know, when in these types of films, humans are often cannon fodder, to be honest. But this one took it a bit too far, if you ask me. The only good thing about this one is the presence of Alien, the Alien Predator hybrid. You know, years before this film came out, I used to play Aliens vs Predator 2 on a computer back then in like 2002, 2003. It was one of my favorite games at the time, actually, because I loved the franchise. And I remember the Predator alien creature from that film. So when I heard that Predator alien is going to be in this film, I was pretty excited. Turned out it's a shit film, but I guess it's the only redeeming quality about this film, because I love the design of Predator alien in this film. It's great. And they actually brought this creature that was previously in games and comic books, brought it to big screen. Great. I just wished it happened in a better film. But even if I like Predator Alien, it doesn't really redeem it. It's still an F tier. And putting it any higher than that, I think should be considered a crime. Maybe not a death penalty, but at least life sentence. Alright, so now we have a third solo Predator film, or Predators, taking the Aliens route. You know, I think this one was an A tier. I like it a little better than Predator 2.
Ship. You understand me, don't you?
What I think really makes it, for me, is that it has a different setting. It doesn't take place on Earth. Even though I wasn't a big fan of the jungle setting of the first film, I think it works here on an alien planet. Different types of predators that are introduced, real nice. And I actually like the main cast, the characters. You know, they're shitty people, but it turns out, you know, the most shitty one of them is the one you would suspect the least. That's well, a twist I really enjoyed. I think it's a decent film for this franchise, you know, because, well, if we were to think outside of Alien Predator franchise, I think there are a lot of like A-tier films that are much better than this, of course. So then it wouldn't make it to the A-tier. But considering we're thinking just in terms of these two franchises, then yeah, I think it's an A-tier. Now, Prometheus. When Prometheus first came out, I used to think of it as a return of the Alien franchise, you know, because after Alien vs Predator Requiem, which was so disappointing, Prometheus seemed like a savior. So I liked it. But you know, it impressed me, but considering how bad Alien vs Predator Requiem is, it didn't really take much to impress. I'm thinking, is it C tier? Is it B tier? I'll put it as C tier. Above Alien vs Predator, because that one is so forgettable.
What do you hope to achieve by coming here?
What we hope to achieve was to meet our makers, to get answers. Why they even made us in the first place.
Why do you think your people made me?
We made you because we could.
Can you imagine how disappointing it would be for you to hear the same thing from your creator?
I guess it's a good thing you can't be disappointed, huh?
Yes. It's wonderful, actually.
Prometheus is not forgettable, for sure. It's a better film overall. Also, objectively, I think it's better than Resurrection. But Resurrection has this nostalgic charm for me, whereas Prometheus doesn't really do much for me. And I don't think I should be ranking those films purely objectively. I think it's about my personal opinion. And if someone's watching this video, you're probably interested in hearing my personal opinion, not... We're not talking just objective criteria here. I think Prometheus is the type of film that is trying to be philosophical, but fails. It's not a philosophical film. It's not a philosophical sci-fi by any means, but it sort of tries to ask existential questions, which I don't think it does correctly. However, you know, the concept is interesting. Where did humans come from? Where did xenomorphs come from? I think many of us didn't really wonder about it, you know? For me, personally, before this film came out, I had a theory of sorts. Is that, you know, aliens, they are sort of biomechanical creatures. Because, you know, they have those elements of mechanics in their bodies. What looks like pipes and metal parts. And, you know, for some time, I used to think that maybe there were facehuggers that were impregnating cyborgs. Half men, half machines. And so, if one of them became a queen and laid eggs, then through that, at some point through the evolution of xenomorphs, they would acquire some of that biomechanical look through that process. Evolution, baby. That's not the route Prometheus took at all. I don't know, I think I like my theory better, actually. Because, you know, we think that xenomorphs acquire the traits of the species that the facehugger impregnates. But I also think that they also inherit traits from the previous queens and so on. It's a generational evolution that happens, and because they infect different species, they acquire their traits. So the xenomorphs we're seeing, they're a result of evolution. But I didn't think they were something that was created. I think I would prefer it if they were just a natural occurring beings. That's what I always thought of them before this film came out. So, mixed feelings about Prometheus, because there were some things about the direction of Prometheus that I actually did like. It did resemble the first film, for sure, at many times, and, well, this one was directed by Ridley Scott, just like the first one, so... But it just... I like it less now than I did back then, for sure. But I sure as hell like Prometheus better than I like Alien Covenant.
Like so.
Watch me. I'll do the fingering.
It's not complete rubbish like Alien vs. Predator Requiem, but I think it's taking everything Prometheus did wrong and taking it to the next level. Now it's even more clear that aliens, xenomorphs, are a result of experimentation that David did. I didn't like it at all. Besides, you know, I think this film doesn't really know what it wants to be. Prometheus, you know, at least I think it was very clear. This isn't going to be a typical alien film. There will be no xenomorphs. It's its own thing. It's almost felt like a spin-off. It's both a prequel and a spin-off, in my opinion. But Alien Covenant, you know, considering that Alien shows up in like the last 30 minutes of the film, I don't think this film knows if it wants to be a Prometheus film, or if it wants to be an Alien film, or if it wants to be something completely different altogether. It's all over the place. And I think the interactions between David and Walter, I think was the name of the android, were like the highlight of this film. But I didn't like the new creatures, the neomorphs, I think they're called. Interesting concept. I didn't necessarily like the execution. Regarding Walter, I was quite surprised that they didn't give him a name that started with E. As it has been a tradition so far with the android characters in this franchise to follow alphabetical order. Ash, Bishop, Cole, David. Well, why couldn't they call this new android Eugene? Well, that's a kind of a shitty name. Couldn't call him Elon. Wait. No, okay, I think I understand why they called him Walter. Okay, now it makes sense. And now we are moving towards even worse trash. Ah, this one. Holy shit. Is it worse than Requiem? Is it better? I don't think it matters, really.
You little shit.
The birth is equal diarrhea. That's all you can call it. Equal diarrhea, you know? If someone offers you 2 glasses of diarrhea, you won't be sitting there thinking, which one of these 2 tastes better? Because they both taste like diarrhea. And if you're a normal person, you're probably not gonna drink it. I'm not a normal person, and I actually watched this film, all of it. One of the biggest regrets of my life. It's definitely a film I do not have a wish to rewatch. I think somebody would have to force me to rewatch this. I don't know, hold me at gunpoint or something like that. One thing I really don't like about this film, this represents exactly the type of action films I really don't like. It feels like an MCU film. It feels like a Marvel film. Where it's like really cheesy action, a lot of focus on those effects and all of that, and in between those you have characters cracking jokes. That's my impression of Marvel films, which I really don't like. And this film is the exact embodiment of that. It does everything wrong, honestly. You know what? Okay, you know, sometimes someone's diarrhea tastes better than other people's diarrhea. I'll put it lower than Alien vs Predator Requiem, because it had Predalien on. I said it didn't redeem the film. I guess it redeemed it to some degree. Now we're moving to the final 2, and first we have Prey. I was skeptical about it because I actually haven't watched it when it first came out. It was around the time when I wasn't watching any films, even in franchises I liked. It was around the time of my life when I was deeply depressed. I didn't really care about anything that was coming out. But eventually, I talked to people who watched this, and half of them told me it's great. It's some of the best Predator films they ever seen. And then there were people who told me it's absolute shit. It's even worse than The Predator from 2018. And wow, well, that sounds very polarizing. Seems like people either loved it or they hated it. My dad really loved this one, and my dad, just like me, is a big fan of Alien and Predator, and we watched it together one day, and I loved it, honestly. Okay, loved it is maybe not the right word, but I liked it. Did I like it as much as Predators and Predator 2? Probably not, but I think I liked it more than the original Predator. I really like the more historical setting, 1700s. I think this is something this franchise has never done before. I thought it was a really great idea. I like the Native American characters. I like how the Predator at that point in time still hasn't developed the mask that we see him having in the older films. So that was interesting. It almost seemed like an improvised mask. So, you know, which means they also were sort of going through their own technological evolution, just like people have. And, you know, 1700s and especially 1800s for humans is like when most of the development has happened. Like if you think of 1800s and technological evolution, it has been going very slowly before that. Few inventions here and there. 1800s, you had like shit ton of things being developed every single year, and that's when the acceleration of our technological progress started. And I'm thinking, you know, maybe Predators went through something similar. So this film, you know, it's certainly planted an interesting idea of my head of Predator's technological evolution, which is part of the reason why I like it. It's a great film. It has a good build up to it too. You know, it much like the first Predator or the second Predator. It didn't really start like a Predator film. Great. It was good. Now, the final Alien film, at least for now, we'll probably get more in the future. You know, Predator aside, I think the last time we had a really good Alien film was Alien 3. So, I think much like Prometheus, this one also comes at a point where it doesn't take much to impress. So when I first watched it, I was thinking, you know what, wow, this is the best Alien we have had since Alien 3. And look at the gap between these three and the rest. It's not an S tier, it's not an A tier. It's a good film, it's a fun film, I had a lot of fun watching it. There were some ideas in the film that I really loved, the whole gravity thing, acid blood in the air that I had to maneuver around. Good idea. We actually had more xenomorphs in this one than we have seen for a long time, which is great.
Rain, are you sure about this?
Only one way to find out. It works.
Not only that, but I think this film also gave us the best facehugger scene we have seen since Alien Resurrection, the underwater sequence with facehuggers. And this one has some really good facehugger moments. Because I think there were very few good facehugger scenes in this franchise. Well, Alien had a great one, you know, like the whole sequence with Kane getting the facehugger on his face. Legendary, right? We had a pretty good scene with facehuggers in Aliens when Burke let them in the room where Ripley and Newt was. And then there was a pretty decent okay one in Alien Resurrection, and then nothing, pretty much lame. So this one did something really good with that, right? It's a fun film. I don't think it has the magic of the old films, but I don't think we should be expecting it to be like that, because that old magic is never going to happen, you know? Those films are in their own league. But Alien Romulus, you know, I like it better than Prometheus. I'll put it in B tier. However, do I like it more than Alien Resurrection? Yes and no. Objectively, I think it's a better film than Alien Resurrection, but like I said, Alien Resurrection has some weird charm to it that I really like. You know what? Actually, I want to change the order and B tier. Because I like Resurrection more than Predator. I'm sorry. I also like Covenant more than Predator. But yeah. You know, I'll keep it like this. Keep it like this. I think Alien Romulus was the best Alien film we had since the original quadrilogy. For sure. But, as you can see, there wasn't really that much to compete with, so it takes a semi-decent film to achieve that. It's a maybe 7 out of 10 max. Not more than that. No more than that. It's a decent film. It's a decent film. It's pretty good. But it's not a masterpiece. It's not great. It's not amazing. But for me, it was a big return to form for this franchise. And I hope it's the first step on a larger set of stairs, and that I will continue to give us better Alien films, although I wouldn't really keep high hopes, because you know how it goes, right? You can't have high hopes. You get one good film every once in a while, and then they make something like The Predator, or Alien vs. Predator Requiem, or if we're lucky, something like Alien Covenant. If we're lucky. Alright, I hope you enjoyed me making this tier list, and if you disagree with me, which you probably do, because it's a controversial tier list, right? Yeah. If you disagree, let me know. Tell me, what do you think your tier list looks like? What are your favorite Alien films? Which ones do you dislike the most? And you know, I think it's good to disagree, because the world would be a pretty boring place if everyone had the same opinion about everything. You know, I think we need some people who would think that Alien vs. Predator Requiem is the best film in both franchises. I'm sure there's a bastard out there somewhere who thinks that. And all power to him, you know, as much as I disagree, good for him or her. Oh wait, actually I know someone like that. Yeah, she likes this one of us, oh my god. Well, I hope you have a splendid, fantastic, brilliant, amazing, beautiful day. And I'll see you in the next video. Ciao.